A massive sinkhole has appeared in the middle of Los Angeles, and it is assumed that the people who have fallen into it are dead, when in reality, the sinkhole is a bridge between different time periods. A woman named Eve is sitting in her car in the middle of a traffic jam in Los Angeles. Her son Josh and daughter Izzy are with her. Suddenly, Eve notices that the ground beneath them is crumbling, and a massive sinkhole starts forming. Cars, road signs, buildings, and people start falling into it. Eve tries to reverse her car on the sidewalk, but she runs into another vehicle. The family gets out of the car and starts running as the sinkhole continues to get bigger. Josh stops to help a little girl and gets knocked over by panicking people. Eve turns around to help him, and during the struggle, both mother and son fall into the sinkhole. As Eve is about to fall, Izzy grabs her hand, but Eve can see that she has no chance, so she asks Izzy to leave her and save herself. The last thing she says to Izzy is that she loves her. An aerial view shows the massive size of the sinkhole that has formed. Meanwhile, Eve's ex-husband Gavin is trying to get a job at an Air Force base. He is a former pilot who retired because he suffered a crash that left him traumatized, causing him to experience visions and hallucinations. He'd always see a vast field, animals, and wilderness in his visions. On the way out from the interview, he sees the news of the sinkhole and gets a call from Izzy. He rushes to see her. As Gavin arrives, Izzy gives him the devastating news that his wife and son fell into the hole. Just then, a bunch of strange-looking birds fly out of the sinkhole, and the people at the site are confused. Gavin realizes he's seen these exact birds in his visions. Next, Eve wakes up in a vast field and looks up and sees a green light in the sky. She remembers that Josh fell into the sinkhole with her and starts looking for him. She accidentally drops her wedding ring near a rock with a red handprint on it. Eve finds a man named Ty, who is bewildered at what's going on, just like her. The two see smoke rising in the distance and decide to check it out. They arrive and find out that all the people and things that fell into the sinkhole have ended up in this place. Eve finds Josh among the crowd. People discuss what is going on, and all of them remember falling through the green light in the sky. A doctor named Sam advises everybody to collect all the food and water they can find, so they can get on top of this situation. Josh spots a woman named Mary Beth trying to stash some protein bars for herself secretly and calls her out. She isn't happy about it and says that this makeshift community will fall apart at the first sign of trouble, so she is just looking out for herself. Next, a pack of wolves arrives, and all the people run and hide inside any vehicle they can find. Josh gets attacked by one of the wolves, and Ty, who is revealed to have a gun, shoots the wolf. However, the wolf had already managed to sink its claw into Josh's stomach. He is severely injured. Sam, who is a doctor, assesses Josh's situation and tells Eve that he needs medical tools and antibiotics to save him, both of which he does not have. Eve remembers that an ambulance fell into the sinkhole as well, and the two decide to go look for it. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter, Riley, watches over Josh. In Los Angeles, Dr. Sophia Nathan, chief scientist of the Department of Homeland Security, addresses the press and says that no person who fell into that sinkhole could have survived the fall. She offers her condolences to the families of the victims. Meanwhile, Gavin gets another vision of the vast fields, but this time he sees Eve there. He sees her next to a rock with a red handprint on it. Next, it is revealed that Sophia is aware of the green light at the bottom of the sinkhole, and she just hid it from the press and the public. Her team sends a drone into the green light to investigate, but it loses signal the moment it reaches the light. At the same time, Gavin gets a vision of the drone crashing in the field that he always sees. Gavin tries sharing his visions with Sophia, but she refuses to listen. However, she is curious about how he knows about the drone. Izzy thinks Gavin is losing his mind and tells him to drop this, but Gavin is certain he is onto something here. Gavin rushes home and starts going through pictures of a trip that he and Eve took, because he thinks he's seen the stone with the handprint before. He is revealed to be right. Meanwhile, in the other place, Eve and Sam find Ty getting ready to end his life. Eve talks him out of it, and Ty informs them that he's seen the ambulance they are looking for. He leads them to it. In Los Angeles, Gavin digs around the rock, hoping to find the street sign he saw in his visions. Instead, he finds Eve's ring, proving that he is not crazy. Eve and the two men arrive at the ambulance, and Eve notices that the hills in front of her are the same as those in the Hollywood Hills sign on the ambulance. This means that they are still in Los Angeles, just in a different time period. Just then, a saber-toothed tiger arrives and rushes at the trio. They make a run for it, and during the chase, Sam falls down from a cliff. Eve and Ty are almost killed by the tiger until it falls into a trap that is very clearly man-made. Eve realizes they aren't the only ones here. The next morning, Eve and Ty find Sam, who has a severely injured back. They try to carry him back to camp, but he realizes he is slowing them down. He gives the medical supplies to Eve and tells her to run to Josh because he needs them fast. He is right, because back at camp, Josh's wound has become infected, and he is fighting for his life. Ty stays to look after Sam. Mary Beth finds heroin in the trunk of a car and starts asking around about a man in a green jacket. She meets a girl named Veronica and her sister Lily, who cannot seem to speak. Veronica's father was killed during the wolf attack, and the wolves took his body. She asks Mary Beth to look after Lily while she goes to look for the body. An anxious young man named Scott joins her. Eve arrives just in the nick of time to give Josh antibiotics and sew up his wounds. He starts to get better. Meanwhile, Gavin sees a professor talking on TV about how the birds that came out of the sinkhole are supposed to be extinct. He meets with the professor and asks him to carbon date Eve's ring. Sophia notices Gavin investigating this matter and invites him to meet her. Sophia tells Gavin that a similar sinkhole previously opened in a desert. The sinkhole opened on the exact day and in the exact area where Gavin's crash happened. This could explain Gavin's connection with whatever lies beyond the green light. The results of the carbon dating reveal that Eve's ring is from 10,000 BC. They realize that beyond the light is the ancient past and start planning a mission accordingly. Sophia reveals a plane specially designed for the mission, but unfortunately, Gavin will not be allowed to pilot it. He recommends his close friend Levi for the job. Scott finds 8 camels about to run into a tar pit and stops them to save their lives. Meanwhile, Veronica discovers her father's body lying in the middle of a giant hand made from stones. Ty and Sam run into a man named Lucas, who helps them return to camp. It is revealed that Lucas is Mary Beth's son. He is also a drug dealer. Their relationship is not well. Riley looks after her dad's injuries and helps him recover. She uses the heroin Mary Beth found as an anesthetic while she performs a surgical procedure on him. Scott tells everyone that they are in 10,000 BC because he is an anthropology graduate, and he recently studied the bones of 8 camels that were caught in tar pits, dated exactly 10,000 BC, just like the ones he stopped here today. The force of plot convenience is strong with this one. The rest of the group doesn't believe him, but Eve says the explanation makes sense. Lucas thinks they've gone mad and decides to find his own way out of this place. Mary Beth follows him. Ty and Eve go out to hunt for food, but they are spotted by a wild bear that chases them into a cave. The opening to the cave gets blocked, and Ty and Eve get stuck. Fortunately, Mary Beth and Lucas also entered this cave while exploring, and the 4 people look for a way out together. They come across a body of water, and Ty jumps in and tells the gang there is a way out on the other side. However, on the way, they discover the remains of a person who was clearly from the future as well, and killed himself out of desperation after being stuck in the past too long. The group decides not to share this information with the rest of the people, because it would be a blow to morale. They find some edible mushrooms and go back to camp, where everyone is happy to eat. Levi is getting ready to depart on the mission, and before leaving, he tells Gavin that he had an affair with Eve while Gavin was suffering from hallucinations. He, a dog. Levi's plane reaches the green light, and just like the drone, he loses contact with mission control the moment he's near the light. Izzy is heartbroken thinking Levi is dead. Gavin is probably cool with it. In the past, Levi's plane is seen entering through the green light and crashing nearby. The next morning, a group of Lucas, Riley, Josh, Scott, and Eve goes to look for the plane. They find Levi on the way, and are happy to know that the people back home are making efforts to rescue them. Next, they arrive at the plane, and discover that the crash wrecked its radio and engine compressor. Levi could fix it with the right parts, but those parts won't be in stock for another 1-2-0-0-0 years. They just collect the food supplies that Levi brought on the plane and head back to camp. Before leaving, Levi notices that the airplane is picking up a radio signal 3 miles away in the woods nearby. The gang decides that they need to investigate this. Lily finds a man in a horrible condition in the woods. All the people arrive and ask Lily what happened, but she doesn't say. Ty, who is a psychiatrist by profession, decides to try and get Lily to talk. In the present, an earthquake hits Los Angeles, and scientists determine that it is somehow related to Levi's plane crash. Hence, they decide to halt any further rescue missions for now, much to Gavin's frustration. Gavin discovers that Sophia worked with someone named Rebecca the last time the sinkhole appeared. He tracks Rebecca down and finds Sophia at her home too. The two women reveal that the last time the sinkhole opened, they sent a team of scientists into it. However, the green time portal closed, trapping the scientists in the past for 3 years. The scientists were close to Rebecca and Sophia, so they are determined to continue rescue efforts. They have built a second plane like Levi's in secret and want Gavin to pilot it into the sinkhole. However, the mission will be unofficial and against orders from the chain of command. Ty gets Lily to open up, and she reveals that she saw a strange old man standing where she found the dead body yesterday. The old man in question is watching all this from a distance. Levi and the gang arrive at the place where the radio signal was coming from, and it's kind of like a walled city, which has very clearly been built by civilized people. They decide to split up to explore it. Eve and Levi go inside a building and find another dead body lying inside a giant hand symbol made from stones. Levi reveals that his mission was also to find the scientists that went into the sinkhole 3 years ago, and this dead man is one of them. Lucas and Scott are attacked by a native of the city, and he knocks both boys out. Natives also spot Riley and Josh, and they run and hide. Meanwhile, Levi and Eve are also chased, but they hide in a hut full of native children. Surprisingly, the children help them. Lucas and Scott wake up next to the body and the hand symbol and use a lighter to break free. As they get out, they regroup with Levi, Eve, Josh, and Riley. A little native boy helps the gang find a secret way out of the city. Before Eve and Levi can get out, the natives catch up to them. They are about to fire arrows at the two when a woman orders them to stop. Levi and Eve leave. As the gang heads back to camp, Scott says that he heard the natives speak English, but that's not possible, because the Europeans don't arrive on this continent until much later. In the present, Rebecca takes Gavin to the site of an archaeological dig, which is where they believe the people who fell in the sinkhole ended up. This theory is proven correct when they find an ancient letter from Eve to Gavin, in which she apologizes to him for not believing him when he told her about the visions. Gavin must fly the plane into the sinkhole soon, because the rift in time appears to be closing, and it will close completely by the next day, leaving the survivors trapped in the past forever. Rebecca makes it clear that there is a chance that Gavin won't return from this mission, but Izzy gives Gavin her permission to go. Brea is a science fiction TV series that first aired in 2021. The first 2 seasons of the series received mixed reviews due to its crazy premise, which audiences felt the show itself couldn't keep up with. However, Season 3 of the show is still under development. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.